Shalom everybody. Welcome to Torah Jewce. My name's Joshua. And this week's Torah portion is Beshalach. And we're looking in the book of Exodus, or Shemot. And today we're going to be talking and looking in chapter 16. And what chapter 16 talks about is, beginning in verse 4, is the manna that came from heaven. The Israelites had wanted food, and they'd been traveling, and they were hungry, and Hashem told Moshe, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send down manna from heaven, and this is going to be the food for them, because I'm going to provide all their needs. The Torah teaches us that God provided food and water, that the clothing and the soles of their shoes never wore out. He protected them in a pillar of fire by night, which gave them light to see, and cloud by day for protection, and that they ate manna for the 40 years. God always was with them during this entire time. The problem that we have today is we don't have that same type of emunah or faith in Hashem, that He is with us in our trials. We think that Hashem is far removed from us for some reason, that He is up in heaven away from us, and that He doesn't recall us. He doesn't know our situation. He can't possibly fathom all the things that we are going through. Well, that's a lie from the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. Of course, the evil inclination wants to mislead you and think that God doesn't care about you. So therefore, you won't do what you need to do for Him, for Hashem. This is where emunah kicks in. This is where we need to have faith in Hashem and know He knows our situation. Who do you think orchestrated the situation around us? There's no other power but Him. Ein od milvado. There is none but Him. He is the one that orchestrates and controls all things. He is the only power, and nothing happens without Him. He is it. What is very interesting is, before Adam ate the forbidden fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the concept was Adam had no self-consciousness. And what I mean by that is, it was only Hashem. He had no selfishness. He had no arrogance. He had no narcissistic thoughts. There was only Hashem. And when they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and they realized, they came to the self-realization that they were naked. They then, instead of having Hashem as the center and focus of their life, they themselves became the center and focus, you see. And that's what we still do this day, because we have partaken of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. Now what we have to do is rectify this situation, move from the concept of just having self-realization and being narcissistic and only caring about us and our needs, and making ourselves and working with ourselves with the help of Hashem to realize there is only Hashem, to get back to the tree of life, to get back to that concept of Ein od milvado. There's only Hashem, and He provides all of our needs. This week's Torah portion, part of it, shows this exactly this concept. When talking about the manna, Hashem gives very specific instruction on collecting the manna. Okay? So, let's read a little bit about this and see what it has to say. Hashem said to Moshe, behold, I shall rain down for you food from heaven. Let the people go out and pick each day portion on its day, so that I can test them, whether they will follow my teaching or not. So here we go already. he's giving them a specific instruction that he's going to rain down man from heaven, lechem, bread from heaven, min hashamayim, and he's testing them to see if they are going to listen to his Torah, to follow his Torah, his instruction. Each man take his day's portion so that I can test him. Now here we go. Verse 5. And it shall be that on the 6th day, when they prepare what they will bring, it will be double when they pick it up for the day. So each day you pick up your daily portion. The 6th day is a double portion. Why is that? Some of you already know the story, some of you already read, and you're already going, Joshua, I know what that is, that he's talking about Shabbat. You're correct. That's right. He gives you double portion on the 6th day because on the 7th day is a rest, a Shabbat to Hashem. We don't work on that day. We don't work. This is the very first thing that day is listed, the Mo'adim, the set weekly holy day, holiday. It is essential that we keep this day as Shabbat. And I know there are a lot of people in different situations with their jobs and works, and I'm not by no means am I being judgmental, because I myself at one point had to work on Shabbat to feed my family. Well, did I have to? Yes, I chose to. Was it a weakness in my emunah, speaking for myself, from just me, because I can't speak for anybody else, just me? It was a weakness in my emunah. I should have followed exactly what the Torah said. By working on Shabbat, did I gain more? No. Did I miss out on more? Yeah. But I can only speak for me. Everybody needs to find for themselves. You need to read it for yourself. You need to talk to Hashem. You need to do it on your own and pray. And maybe and hopefully with your sincerity, Hashem will make a way and open the door that you won't ever have to work on Shabbat again. Or it's a test. Like here. Are you going to work on Shabbat and make a stand or not? It's between you and Hashem. That's what it boils down to. I'm not making a judgment call on you at all. That's not my place. You have to decide for yourselves between you and Hashem how this is going to work out. Okay? So, that being said, like I said, all I can do is speak for myself and how it works for me. Verse 6. Moshe and Aharon said to all of Bnei Israel, in the evening you shall know that Hashem took you out of the land of Mitzrayim, and in the morning you will see the glory of Hashem, and that he has heard your complaints against Hashem. For what are we that you should incite complaints against us? And Moshe said, when in the evening Hashem gives you meat to eat and bread to satiety, in the morning, as Hashem hears your complaints, that you complain against him, for what are we? Not against us are your complaints, but against Hashem. So Moshe said to Aharon, say to the entire assembly of Bnei Israel, approach the presence of Hashem, for he has heard your complaints. When Aharon spoke to the entire assembly of Bnei Israel, they turned to the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Hashem appeared in a cloud. Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, I've heard the complaints of Bnei Israel. Speak to them, saying, in the afternoon you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be sated with bread, and you shall know that I am Hashem your God. It was toward evening that the quail ascended and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. The layer of dew ascended, and behold, upon the surface of the wilderness was something thin and exposed, thin as frost on the earth. Bnei Israel saw and said to one another, it is food, for they did not know what it was. Moshe said to them, this is the food that Hashem has given for you to eat. This is the thing that Hashem has commanded. Gather from it for every man according to what he eats, an omer per person according to the number of your people. Everyone according to whoever in his tent you shall take. Bnei Israel did so, and they gathered. Whoever took more, and whoever took less, they measured in an omer, and whoever took more had nothing extra, and whoever took less was not lacking. everyone according to what he eats. They gathered. Moshe said, no man may leave over it until morning. But they did not obey Moshe, and people left it over until morning, became infested with worms, and it stank. And Moshe became very angry with them. Here's the test. What is this? People get greedy. Hashem provides the exact amount. Hashem gives us everything we need. If we have emunah, we have faith in Hashem, He will give us everything we need. Not everything we want, because everything we want is not necessarily good for us. Remember, everything comes from Hashem. Everything. The sages teach us that before a soul even enters this world, a decree goes out into heaven. A couple of things happen. One is, we're decreed who we're going to be married to. And the second thing is, we are decreed on what our parnasa is going to be and how wealthy we will be. Now some say, well, wait a second, what about hard work? Well, according to what the sages say, and even King David talks about toiling in vain, you're going to get what Hashem wants you to have. You can chase the dollar the entire years of your life, but you're only going to get what Hashem wants you to have. You can't create more than He's going to let you have. It's pretty simple. So why toil in vain? Work hard, but your purpose should be to provide the food, not to gain so much extra that it's just going to stink, because I guarantee you, stuff that's left over, inheritances, stuff like that, cause problems. They just do. They just do. It stinks. They gathered it by morning, every man according to what he eats, and when the sun grew hot, it melted. It happened on the 6th day that they gathered a double portion, 2 omers for each, and all the princes of the assembly came and told Moshe. He said to them, this is what Hashem has spoken. Tomorrow's a rest day, a holy Shabbat to Hashem. Bake what you wish, bake and cook what you wish to cook, and whatever is left over, put away for yourselves as safekeeping until morning. They put it away until morning, as Moshe had commanded. It did not stink, and there was no infestation. Wow, amazing. They actually did what Moshe said, and oh, behold, things worked out the way it was supposed to work out. When they didn't listen to Moshe, it didn't work out. But when they listened to Moshe, it worked out. That's amazing. Let's see. Don't leave it over till morning, but if you leave it over till morning, it'll stink and become infested with worms. Yay. On the 6th day, if you do what Moshe says, which Hashem has told him to say, you have exactly what you need for Shabbat. And you're not going out and gathering. Moshe said, eat it today, for today is a Sabbath for Hashem. Today you shall not find it in the field. 6 days shall you gather it, but the 7th day is a Shabbat. On it there will be none. It happened on the 7th day that some of the people went out to gather and did not find. Some people didn't trust Hashem. They didn't trust that Hashem would give them the double portion. Maybe they were greedy and they thought they needed to take more on that day. You know, this world was built with these concepts of Torah. When Hashem rested on the 7th day in the beginning of Genesis, he finished all his creation and all of his creating on the 6th day. The 7th day he rested. This is an absolute eternal principle for humankind. When Mashiach comes and Torah law is instituted throughout the world, there will be no Saturday work. There will be no Shabbat work. There will be no businesses open. There will be nowhere to get milk and bread and gasoline and videos and go to the ball game. There will be none of this. There will be only Shabbat rest with the Torah commands. Because on the 6th day, if we are obedient to Hashem and doing what He tells us to do, He's going to give us enough on the 6th day to last us through the 7th day. So we have no worries. Why worry anyway? Hashem's going to take care of you. Hashem's going to do what He says He's going to do. If you worry, you're weakening your emunah. You're weakening your faith. You're letting the Yetzer whisper in your ear and tell you. And believe me, it happens to all of us. It happens to everybody. It's within our nature to worry because that evil inclination is always trying to distract us. And Hashem says He's going to, but do you really believe it? Oh, you know, the end of the month is coming and you don't have enough money for your bills. you know, you might need to start working on Saturdays in order to make up for that kind of thing. Well, you know, it gets you starting to doubt. And then when you start doubting, you start pulling away from Hashem, and you start chasing after your own hands and trying to think that you are going to do this. And you know, Hashem lets us go our ways. We have this thing called free will, and He'll let us go. Did Hashem stop the people from going out on the seventh day, on the Shabbat, to see if there was any manna in the field? No, He didn't stop them. He sure didn't. He didn't stop them at all. Did He stop them from gathering leaving it over till the next day? No, but it was worm infested and it stank. This tells us eternal principles that Hashem is trying to convey to us, that we just need to have faith and emunah in Him. We need to build that faith each and every day. I can tell you recently, miracles happened to me in this exact kind of way. I've been keeping the Sabbath for quite a while, quite a few years now, and I'm still working on my observance of Shabbat. There are things, and it's a process. There are things that are revealed to you that, you know what, you probably shouldn't be doing this on the Sabbath. This is a mundane activity. This is a weekly thing. This isn't guarding the Shabbat. This isn't keeping it holy. There are certain things, but it's a learning process. The Bible tells us very clearly right here. Here's the manna. Okay, you're not going to gather it on the Sabbath. God's going to provide you your double portion on Friday. Okay, that's what you need. Now in verse 31, the house of Israel called it manna, for it was like coriander seed. It was white, tasted like cake and fried honey, a cake fried in honey. Moshe said, "This is the thing that Hashem commanded. A full omer shall be a safekeeping for your generations, so that they will see the food which I fed you in the wilderness." So Moshe told Aaron, "Hey, take this manna, an omer's worth, and put it in a jar. Then they're going to put it in the Ark of the Covenant." So when Mashiach comes back and we have the Ark of the Covenant, and inside the Ark with the tablets will be a jar of this manna, okay, that he was told to place there. So he placed it in the Ark, and that's where it is. And it said the children of Israel ate manna for 40 years until their arrival in the inhabited land. But when they got to the land, guess what? The manna stopped. Wait a minute, Joshua. Why did Hashem stop the manna? Why didn't He just continue giving them the manna whenever they were in the land? Because they had entered the land of their inheritance and promised. They were in the wilderness, and Hashem was protecting them and guarding them in the wilderness as He brought them out. It was all part of His plan. And then when Yehoshua leads them into the promised land, the manna stopped. Because now it was their job to settle and work the land. And the land, their inheritance, their promise, their heritage, that was going to provide the sustenance that they needed. But they still had to work it by the same principles of the manna. Work it for 6 days, rest on the seventh, and it will provide for you all that you need, and a double portion on the sixth day. See these eternal principles. You say, "Well, Joshua, I don't know about this, because if I work 6 days, here's the thing. You get the double portion on the sixth day, so you don't have to work the seventh." Do you see how it works? He could say, "You're only going to get 6 portions during the week and rest on the seventh," but He doesn't do that. He says you're going to get 7 portions, 2 on the sixth day, and rest on the seventh day. See how Hashem provides for His creation? It's a miracle and a marvelous thing. We just have to be obedient. We have to have the faith in Him. And you know what? It's not an easy thing, but it's something that is doable through prayer. And here's an interesting comment that I've read this week, and I posted on my Facebook, and it's by Tzvi Freeman from Chabad. And he said, if we only do the things that make sense to us, what are we really doing for Hashem? We're still doing our own will, and we're still in prison. So that's a very interesting concept about emunah. And remember, emunah is, faith is trusting in Hashem that everything comes from Hashem and everything that is good and everything has a purpose. Shabbat has a purpose. Hashem created it and instituted it for all time from the beginning of creation. Here he is giving the guidelines to Bnei Israel and giving us this same example that we need to follow. So if you're in a situation right now in your work, go talk to your bosses. What's the worst thing they could say? No. Maybe be actively searching. Be actively praying for a position. Some may have to take a step in faith and just go, you know what, I can't work on Shabbat. I know people who I've talked to, good friends of mine, who've lost many jobs because of their stance on Shabbat. You know what? They still eat every day. They still have clothes to wear. Are they the richest people in the world? No. But they survive. Their children have food and clothes. They have transportation. They study Torah. But God never promised us all we were going to be rich. And rich isn't even the being rich or being wealthy and having a bunch of stuff. It's not our purpose in this world anyway. That's the distraction that the Yetzer puts in front of us, that we should. And but I know in my life, you know what, I did make that I guess you could say compromise, and I wish I hadn't, because it didn't really get me anywhere. It surely didn't bring me closer to Hashem. It was a weakness in my emunah. But like I said, you have to deal with that between you and Hashem. You have to choose. And maybe Hashem will provide the way for you. Maybe Hashem's just waiting for you to do it, like Nachshon did. Nachshon from the tribe of Yehuda, when they were going to split the sea, Nachshon jumped in. The sages say that it didn't split until someone had the faith to jump in, and he did. The prince of Yehuda jumped in the water up to his neck, and then it split. Sometimes. So hopefully this helps you a little bit. Hopefully that it will show you the importance of keeping Shabbat. It's one aspect of keeping Shabbat. There's so many. But this is one. And sometimes you just have to begin with one and slowly increase your observance and increase removing the distractions of Shabbat and removing the mundane worldly things out of Shabbat, and then begin to really rest in Hashem. Really understand the purpose of Shabbat. I don't by any means understand all that there is to know about Shabbat. I am walking like you, learning and trying to be obedient and faithful to Hashem, because He is always faithful for us, and He gives us this example. So let's try and put this into action if we can. So good luck to you, and I mean that by blessings to you, and may Hashem help you in your keeping Shabbat. Remember, double portion on the 6th day, rest on the 7th, says Hashem. Shalom uvracha.